Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our panel session, is what I'll call this, a discussion about our MS programs online here at the Levy School of Business. But first, my name is Nydia McGregor. I'm Senior Assistant Dean here at the Levy School of Business at Santa Clara University. If you were here, you would get to see the amazing sunshine. We've got a gorgeous day behind me. But if you were actually physically on campus, because that is virtual, you'd see the same thing. We're so proud to be in the Bay Area, where we get this lucky kinds of weather, even in the middle of winter. Today is a special day, though, because we get a chance to talk firsthand to folks who are in our programs right now and give you, really the perspective of a student going through it, give you some idea of what their motivations were, things that they've found interesting, maybe even a little advice they might have for you if you're considering applying for the program. So without further ado, actually, I will go sort of in line. And guys, I'm going to go popcorn style. I'm just going to call on folks, once a faculty member, always a faculty member, and just ask you first to introduce yourself and let us know what program you're in, and tell us, are you in the Bay Area or are you out of the area? So why don't we start with Tamara?
Hi, I'm Tamara Hauser. I'm in the MS marketing. This is actually my second quarter, and I live in Southern California, Long Beach to be exactly.
Thanks, Tamara. Lorraine?
Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Larry Davis. I am in the MS and Business Analytics program. I live in the Bay Area. I'm currently living in Oakland, so yeah, still in the Bay Area.
Perfect. And Stuart, go ahead and jump in.
Hi everyone, my name is Stuart Opson, and I'm in the online MS FA Finance and Analytics program. And I'm actually not in the Bay Area. I'm in Dallas, Texas, so that's kind of unique. Dealing with the time change with some people being 2 hours ahead, sometimes trying to schedule group events.
Well, Stuart, why don't we just stay with you? Could you tell us a little bit about why you decided to pursue your MSFA program or a master's degree in general? And maybe there's a little bit of overlap there.
Yeah, I guess maybe I kind of have a unique background. I went to Santa Clara for undergrad, but I majored in mechanical engineering, and then I worked in the oil and gas industry for about 6 years. And then during COVID, it kind of gave me a chance to think about my career, what I was doing. And I guess I had always kind of had interest in personal finance and investing. And that's kind of what made me think, I started looking at different degree programs, and I didn't like the idea of an MBA as much because that's usually a longer time frame, more expensive. So that's kind of what led me towards the master's in finance specifically. And ultimately, I guess I've been pretty fortunate to be able to get in as an alumni. It was definitely an easier path. And I looked at some local programs that were in person and just kept having delays with things, I think with COVID. And then we had a winter storm here a year ago, and it just seemed like it had been delayed. And then almost immediately within filling out my application, someone from the admissions department reached out to me, and they just seemed like they really wanted me in the program. And so that was kind of nice versus having the constant delays. So that's pretty much how I'm there.
That's great, Stuart. A double Bronco. We love that. But you hit on a couple of things. You hit on that there was some personal interest as well as potentially career interest, and that you knew that this was sort of a better fit for you than an MBA program because it was just shorter and sort of more concentrated in specifically in the area you were interested in.
Yes, that's right. I guess one of the realizations that I thought of, and I don't know if this is necessarily true, but versus getting like a bachelor's degree, typically that's a 4-year program. But since I already had a bachelor's in engineering, the way I looked at it was you kind of have about 2 years of core classes, kind of unrelated material that I already had through my bachelor's. And then it's kind of the 2 years of the degree specific classes. So that's kind of like, if I can take about a year program for a master's, you're skipping all of that, math 1, 2, and 3 that I've already had. And I'm getting to jump straight into the new material that's relevant to what I'm interested in learning more about and hopefully applying to future jobs.
Yeah, that makes sense. Lorraine, was your experience similar in terms of your decision-making process for why you decided to pursue the MSBA? That's the business analytics, which is a little different than what Stuart's doing, or a master's in general, or did you have a different experience?
We're in a similar situation. I was looking for something that was a little bit more technical. I'm currently in the finance area in tech, but I'm hoping to make a shift into the more analyst or maybe even some type of engineering type role. So I wanted to actually develop more technical skills when it comes to coding and refining my analytical skills when it comes to Tableau and certain software and even just the manipulation of data. That's not as easy to do with Excel, but it's a lot more powerful when you're using Python and stuff like that.
Right. So you've already mentioned you mentioned Python and sort of getting beyond Excel. I think both the MSFA and MSBA programs emphasize Python and R as well, and it really does enable you to, take. I think of it as like unmolded data, right? Like it's data that's shapeless at what it is delivered to you, and then you, as the analyst, now can decide, I don't know, is this longitudinal? Is it over time? Is it something that I want to look at as a cross section? What questions do we want to answer? What are the right questions to ask? And have you found that that's been a pretty good match with what you hoped for in terms of like learning Python and that sort of thing?
Oh, yes, indeed. As far as like some of the roles that are areas of within my employer, Apple, it definitely gives me an opportunity to expand into other areas that I find a little bit more suitable as far as what I want to do as far as my career. So yes, very translatable.
That's terrific. Tamara, was your decision-making process similar? I mean, we've kind of got the intersection between career and skills, desired, or did you have something else going on in terms of your decision-making process?
A little bit similar, just because I've been in marketing already for 10 years, but I actually wanted to level up my data and analytical skills, right? So I took the time to think about where I wanted to go in the future, and I have a strong Marcom background, but I really needed the data and analytics to really go into CRM, which I'm trying to do once I graduate.
Yeah. So again, I'm hearing this theme about sort of skilling up and definitely being able to pursue an interest that's something that will further your career, even if you're in sort of that, in your case, Tamara, in that functional area right now.
Right.
Perhaps, and Tamara, I'll stay with you. This is your second quarter in the program. How would you describe being an online student? How are your courses structured? How do you kind of organize your week? Because, you're not going to class on Mondays and Wednesdays or like a traditional program. Can you just share with people a little bit about that?
Sure. It's asynchronous for, marketing. It's asynchronous. And so what that means is that you get all your material, the quizzes, what assignments to do at the beginning of the week, which is so great, because that way I open up every Monday morning and I say, okay, I have a quiz, assignment, a group discussion this week. And so I just organize my week that way. Some professors have really nice that they do extra little sessions in the middle of the week, more than just office hours. And some students do take advantage of it and some don't, and you don't have to. I love it because I get to talk to other students and I get to talk to the professor, but it's not a requirement. Those are recorded so you can check them out at your own pace. So that's how I really just break down my week. It's really easy just to manage my time with work and family, and just it gives me this sense of I can control versus having to commute to a school and being there at a certain time.
Yeah. Lorraine, has your experience been similar in terms of how you manage being an online student, or what that sort of feels like for you?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's very similar. You have a lot more customization when it comes to your workload, and definitely with Santa Clara being such a great institution, you don't feel like you're losing anything. All of the information is readily available. You have built-in communication with other people within your program. Like she mentioned that you definitely have the ability to interact with your professors a lot more often. It just allows you to do it at a customized pace that is suitable for you, which is very, very nice, especially in today's COVID world.
That makes a lot of sense. As things are sort of shifting and are very dynamic, you can actually shift with it because you have control over the schedule and when you get your work done and when you have to attend to other things.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Stuart, has your experience been the same? I know that you're in the MSFA program, and so you would probably have some things that are similar. Anything to add?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. I share some of the same ideas. Each Monday, I'm able to look at my week and just say, okay, when are things due? Typically it's the end of the week. A lot of things are due Sunday at midnight. But in some cases, there might be an assignment due earlier, like on a Friday evening instead, or a Saturday. So basically, on Monday, I like to look and say, and I have a big whiteboard calendar that I can put assignments on. That way I can look and say, okay, well, this assignment is due Friday. I'll focus on that first because I will have less time to get it done versus something on Sunday. And, I really love how you can mold your schedule around whenever you have time, you can work on it. And this quarter, I started an internship, so I've really come to appreciate that now, where I can say, if I'm working, I work Monday, Wednesday, and half of Friday. So I have usually Tuesday for one class, Thursday for another class, Friday afternoon, finish things up, and then on the weekend as needed. So it's very convenient to be able to make the schoolwork fit into your schedule instead of the other way around.
I also hear a theme of a Monday morning meeting with yourself to to organize the week. I have to admit that I do the same thing, and I'm not even an online student. So it makes a lot of sense that the structure seems to be something that is both structured enough that you can see what you need to get done, but flexible enough that regardless of what's going on, you just move the pieces around to make sure you can get your work done. Maybe on to something a little bit more fun. Lorraine, can you tell us what has been a favorite project or a favorite course, or what have you got?
Yes, indeed. So I would say I'm currently taking Python with machine learning. And that is, I have like a love-hate relationship with this course because because this is my second quarter of actually dealing with scripting and handling with Python. I have no background with it. So it's awesome because I feel like I'm constantly challenged, but then it also challenges me to reshape my expectations because I feel incompetent frequently, but I feel like the lectures are broke down in a way that allows me to grasp the material a lot more. So it's like I'm constantly challenged. That's great. And it also challenges my mental capacity to actually take on all those challenges and still see the positive aspects of it. And then actually take those things that I learn and translate them into my actual work activities.
Sure. It's an interesting thing you added about, you're all professionals. You already have already accomplished some things. And so you feel kind of confident, and it can be a change when you're going back to school and you realize, oh, I'm kind of a newbie in this area. I'm going to have to practice, or I might not get it the first time. I might have to get it the second time. So I love what you have to say about, reminding yourself of that, but then also being able to access the material, again, if that's what you need to do in order to practice again.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Tamara, you want to share with us your favorite course, maybe?
Sure. Every course has been phenomenal, but this quarter I'm taking, so it's a really intense course, marketing analytics, which I'm learning so much. And one of the reasons really why I started this master's program, just because I wanted to learn more about analytics. And so it has really made me realize how much I need to learn and absorb and read this over and over again. But I just, like Lorraine, it's a love-hate relationship because I start off Monday morning by reading it. I'm like, oh, I don't understand it. But by the second time, I'm understanding it. And by the time I have to do a case study, I feel like, okay, totally understand this, which is
awesome. That's great. Yeah.
And then I'm also taking Martech. And that's such a fun class. The professor's great. And I created a blog the other day. And so it's just, it's so fun. And so it kind of like outweighs this like stressful, like learning into like, oh, this is really fun.
Oh, that's so cool. Stuart, do you want to pile on? What has been your most favorite class so far?
Yeah, I guess one class that I really enjoyed was alternative investments, which kind of looked at private equity, hedge fund, and then venture capital, a little bit more specifically, obviously, given Santa Clara's location.
Yeah.
That one I enjoyed. I don't think it's something that I'll get to use in my work very much, but it's definitely an area that I love learning about and really enjoyed that. And then a couple other, I guess, courses. The the ones that covered Python and SQL, kind of like Lorraine was talking about. At first, I was a little hesitant from the coding aspect, and never really thought I would like that. But that was based on other coding languages that were using characters kind of less clear, whereas Python and SQL are more, you're basically just putting in what you want, almost like word typing, but into text. And in my internship now, it's kind of a blend of FP&A and BI, business intelligence, and financial planning and analysis. And there's a lot of SQL. Some people use Python. I've so far just used Excel just because I like that more. But it's been interesting to see how the courses that maybe I was more hesitant about actually ended up being ones where I learned a lot, and now I'm able to use in my career as well.
Yeah, that really tight match between what you learned in class, and then you turn around and you're in your internship, and that's exactly what you need to do to be successful. That's great. I guess to kind of round this off, I wonder if you guys have any advice for people who are debating whether or not to get a master's program, excuse me, or to really to start an online program with Santa Clara, and if you have any advice for them for how to think about it, or just kind of cap off what your experience has been. Tamara? Sure.
I mean, I think in marketing, it's ever changing, right? So there's no reason not to do it. Like I said, I've been in marketing for so long, and people ask me, well, you've been in marketing so long, what are you going to learn? Let me tell you, I've learned so much, and it's made me so much a more well-rounded marketer, right? Because in marketing, there's so many facets of it, but here you learn the whys of everything, right? As a marketer, you're explaining the why to your customer, but now this school is telling me the why of why I'm doing this in marketing, which is so great, because now I have a full understanding and a more appreciation of what I do. So I always, of course, encourage anyone to really better themselves. I started later in my life. I think if students do it right after graduation, I think you'll have this edge on people that don't have it, right? Because you'll learn about the analytics and the data, and just think about it a little bit different than people that don't have this master's.
Thanks so much for that. I can hear the enthusiasm in your voice that you're just thinking about how your learning has complemented already the professional development that you had up until this point in time. That's very cool. Lorraine, what would you have to add?
So I think it's two parts for me. The first one is going to be resetting expectations, like I mentioned earlier. I think everybody that's interested in any master's level program and they are also working, we're used to trying to do our best. And it can be a bit challenging when you're getting into these programs and you're challenging yourself to use new skills that are very, very new. And you constantly need to remind yourself that, hey, I am new to this, and to take your time and have patience with yourself and be a lot more forgiving than you're used to being. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is going to be taking breaks. I think a lot of us, especially in the business area, we're always grinding away, trying to work, trying to get ahead, trying to develop some type of advantage so we can utilize it in our work and just make ourselves more attractive in the marketplace. Take those breaks when you can to allow yourself to rest, because with all this, especially as a person that's working and doing this program, I need breaks. I need mental breaks, because if you don't, it's not going to make the time enjoyable. So definitely when you can, take breaks and reset those expectations.
That's so wise. I think people go their whole work lives before they realize that that's a good idea. Yes, you have to pace yourself, right? You can't just plunge all in and then burn up to a little crispy critter and then not be able to do anything, right? So definitely pace yourself. Know that you're going to be challenged. Know that that's part of why you're here, and that's part of the learning process. But definitely, take a moment to refresh when you need to. Stuart, anything to add?
I would say, I guess, a couple points. One aspect that I really liked about it was how quick it went, as far as the time frame that you have to take and everything. And this will be, I'll graduate after the spring quarter this June, but the only class I'm taking that quarter is the capstone class. So effectively after this quarter and after a year in the program, I've completed all the classes, and that's only part-time. So it's something where, it's easy to get through quick, but you still get a lot of information. That's kind of the nice thing about the quarter system, is that you get to take more classes, because it's instead of fall, spring, and summer, you get that winter quarter as well. So you have more opportunities for classes, kind of can fit stuff in quicker, sometimes at the cost of a heavier workload, but it is nice. I feel like I got so much done in a short amount of time. And then I think the other area that I really liked about it, just the online format, kind of like I talked about earlier, how much flexibility that gives you. And I think it just makes it so much easier to fit the courses and the program into your schedule, especially if you're working. And, you know, a lot of times you can have a pretty set schedule in work, but things can always change. And it's really nice to have that flexibility to say, oh, you know, I thought I'd have time to watch a lecture today or work on a quiz or a project or something, but be able to say, you know what, I'll do it tomorrow. I've just been too busy today. And you know, that's something that I really enjoyed.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all the taking the time, the wisdom that you've shared, and just being able to hear your voices from, you know, an MSBA program, the MS in Marketing program, the MS Finance and Analytics program, and people being able to hear all the different experiences, but sort of that distill down into something that's been incredibly satisfying for you. So thank you so much. We'll conclude with this today. Again, this is Santa Clara University, the Levy School of Business. We're talking about our master's in business analytics in marketing and finance and analytics in the online programs. So thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.